because we're trying to do a vigil tonight for Olivier Hendricks. He had a potential eviction that was scheduled for tomorrow. However, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
As we know, Fannie Mae has been trying to evict Olivier for a long time. Olivier went and did some things today to try to prevent that from happening tomorrow, which he did. So your investor made an offer to Fannie Mae to purchase this house at the current market value.
At the current market value, which we had an appraisal. The appraisal is 170 as is, or 180 at the most. Was negotiating with them for me, and she said to them, you know, Mr. Hendricks is willing to leave the house at the 260 that he owes, but just lower the interest rate. They come back and they counter and they said, well, we will sell you back the house for $400,000. So that was their counter to that. And when the investor made the bid for it, they basically didn't even answer him. They didn't even reply back. You know, I've been an iron worker for 29 years this month, actually next month, and I've never begged anybody for anything. I'm not begging them for anything. I got a job, I'm working, I make good money, you know. I'm ready to fix my house, fix my property. I was out of work for a couple of years, you know what I mean? And this is what happens when you don't have a job.
I mean, that's just another example of people power and us sending messages to Fannie Mae and standing pat as a unit, as a movement, and nothing was going to happen.
So you think, so could I just ask, do you think that the reason Fannie Mae backed off was because they knew how many people were going to, you know, that people were going to show up and really block the eviction?
Absolutely, that's what we think.
We're talking about blocking this eviction! We have people standing here tonight who are willing to put their bodies on the line and say, this is not going to happen to our neighbor, to our friend, to our leader of our membership, Olivier, who has put in so many hours going to protest, traveling to D.C. to spread the message and defend other families. We are not going to let him out of here. They're going to have to walk through us.
Oh, yes!
And Olivier has tried everything. He's offered to modify his loan he just described, and what did they want to do? They wanted to put $100,000 extra on it. For what? What reason did they have?
No, none. They just, their reason was penalties and
Greed,
penalties and greed. You know, whatever they could put on it, you know what I mean? Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac got $180 billion of our tax dollars. They are publicly owned. They got money to do a job which they're not doing, which is to modify people's loans.
You know, when you hear about the situation here, where we have somebody who's willing to buy the house, somebody who's willing to rent the house back to the actual owner of the house, and we have a bank that's refusing to do that, what happens? This becomes a blighted house on the street. It becomes a place where no one lives. It becomes where the roof needs to be fixed, holes in the roof, and it causes a problem for the whole neighborhood. And this stuff can't happen.
That's right.
We have a problem in Congress where we have an issue with mortgage companies and banks taking advantage of poor people.
That's right.
And the remedy is to fix it so mortgages and banks can't help poor people.
That's
I don't quite understand. I don't quite understand that situation.
This street action right here is connected to the fight against Fannie and Freddie at the very highest levels. And as Antonio said, and as Maria said, we've been in negotiations with them. Other community groups across the country have been in negotiations with them, and they're just getting more and more intransigent as each week goes on. So that should give us an understanding that each time we defend a family, each time we defend Olivier, Ramon Suero, Yolanda Nova, each time is a battle against something that's happening all over the country. Hundreds of thousands of people are in this situation, facing eviction by Fannie and Freddie, and that's what
we did manage to sell our house here and buy a home down there. During that time that we were there, our son was killed in Iraq. Okay? So we fall into a category called Gold Star families. But that house is gone now. It went through the foreclosure process in the state of Florida. They didn't give a shit that our son had been killed in an illegal war for this nation. And I bring this up because I also know another mother whose son was given the Bronze Star in California. She was 1 month off in paying her mortgage. 1 month. She was evicted from her home. My nephew, who was a veteran in Afghanistan, he's now out, was 15 days late in getting his mortgage in. Eviction notice came to his house in Texas. Their banks only do it for greed.
That's right.
And this
Right.
nation's homeowners and middle class, poor working people,
Yes,
union
yes.
members, okay, working 2 or 3 jobs, extra shifts, are losing their homes when they're trying to do right. But
And Olivier has proposed to solve his problem in 3 ways. Like we were discussing before, he proposed to get a loan modification, and they tacked on $100,000 in extra fees, and they weren't able to explain it to you.
$140,000 in extra fees.
And what I think, so you made an offer. You made an offer to rent your home. You were paying,
I was paying
use and
rent.
occupancy,
Yes,
right?
Yep.
You were paying it
$1,500 a month. Yep.
to live here after foreclosure.
Yeah.
You're not asking for a free handout like you said. You're working and you're able to pay and you're happy to pay, and it's that Fannie Mae will not take your offer. They will not.
That $1,500 a month is exactly what I paid a month for my mortgage.
You appealed it up to the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts, right?
Right.
So the courts made them take your rent. But then once that case got lost, they stopped taking your rent. So
Exactly.
And the other thing you tried, besides the loan modification and besides offering to pay rent, was you made an offer to buy your house for the current market value. And they wouldn't accept that offer.
Right.
And actually, that's a violation of
Yes,
our
it is.
laws here in Massachusetts. We passed a law through all our hard work and our lobbying and our protesting that we call the Brandon and Lovely Clause, because this family of powerful leaders from city life was agitating for a way to be able to buy back their own home, and they had to go to the state legislature and get it written into our state law, and they went that far, and they did get that protection. Yes, thank you, Brandon and Lovely. And it's now part of Massachusetts law that a lender cannot refuse to sell to a buyer and require them not to sell back to the former owner. Here's an offer that they did take. They got billions of dollars in bailout money. They were happy to take this check, right?
Greedy bank.
That's right.
Si se quiere, se puede. Lo que hay que luchar, luchar y luchar y seguir adelante y decir yo puedo. Y
Yes, I
luchar
can.
contra los bancos.
yes, I can, and we can do it against the banks, and
Yeah.
the power is ours, and we can do it together.
Yes.
But 2 weeks ago, we went into housing court because Olivier's mother passed away. And we asked Fannie Mae, can we have 3 days so that Olivier can attend the funeral of his mother? And they said no. They said no. Then they said, oh, he doesn't need to be there for his own eviction. I mean, so heartless. And I walked to the courtroom and I said to Olivier and to Steve, like, if you don't know why you're doing this, and if you wonder if you're on the right side or not, it's days like this that remind you that you're on the right side, and that there's really something really messed up going on the other side. So
We know that there's eviction planned here, and with evictions, when we plan them, comes individuals who risk arrest. And we have one individual here, Max Kennedy, who was one of those people who was willing to be arrested. And
When I heard that Olivier was getting evicted, or that the bank was going to try to evict Olivier, I knew that I had to come and do something about it, because Olivier is someone who's been, as long as I've been coming around city life, he's been there supporting other people, coming out, helping other people, fight their process. We always say that the blockade is at the end of the legal process, right? And Olivier has gone through the legal process,
Because we've been here so much. We know this is so much bigger than your house. Your case is a classic case to show the banks that they can't continue to do this, and we're going to fight it to the end.